online.
Hey guys, I hope you're hungry. Welcome back to War Stories here on the Full Ensigns channel. My name is Jericho. This is actually my second time recording this, and it's going to be a bit of an awkward transition. I missed the first chunk of this episode, didn't get recorded for some reason, but the other two chunks did. And I don't want to re-record the entire thing because it's just sort of like a policy of mine. Warts and all, I want to give, you know, my real, how I really did. So I don't, I'm not going to re-record the stuff that stayed, so it might be a bit of a weird transition. Like, it'll obviously not be the same match. I mean, I did the same game mode and the same map and everything, so it looks as similar as possible, but, you know, I'm not going to try to hide the fact that this is a re-recording, hence me explaining it now. So, luckily, I still have my little notes of what I wanted to cover in the episode, and I just listened to the other chunks, so I shouldn't repeat myself too much, but if I do, I apologize, and I'm sorry about the re-recording in the first place. It's completely unintentional, of course. So today's War Story, we are covering San Diego Comic-Con. It's mostly just an overview of some of the trailers and announcements we got from the big two, one being Marvel and DC. And just to start right off with Marvel TV shows, Ghost Rider is coming to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's been hinted for a few weeks. We finally got the official confirmation that as of the season 4 starting in September, Ghost Rider will be a character, but it's not Johnny Blaze, the character that Nick Cage brought to life, kind of in a bad, not very good movie way. This is Robbie Reyes, who is a newer Ghost Rider that's a young Hispanic kid with a car instead of a motorcycle, like a muscle car. So that's pretty cool. I like that they're doing a different interpretation, and I always think it's a good idea when they do like these reboots or whatever to just, I'm gonna get this power up just cause. Of course it's gonna be a useless one. He just adds a separation, you know, like it makes it like as soon as you see him, like you'll know, oh, okay, this isn't Nick Cage, this isn't Johnny Blaze, this is something new. And I think that's usually a good idea, just to create that separation, especially with one that was not all that well received, as was the case with Nick Cage's Ghost Rider. So Marvel, of course, does not control all of the rights to their movies, their characters. Fox has the X-Men, and Fox's one of their TV shows, FX, is making an X-Men spin-off show called Legion. Now, I say X-Men spin-off, but it is not in the continuity of X-Men at all, and it's bloated and hard to digest as the X-Men. Whoa, boy. As the X-Men movie continuity has become, I still do think it's kind of a mistake to not use it, because continuity is the biggest thing that sells in movies today, in my opinion. That's why everything wants to be a franchise. I talk later on about the new Kong movie, and they're rebooting King Kong just so it can tie in with the Godzilla movie, just so they can do a King Kong versus Godzilla, because that's how important continuity is to everybody. But anyway, Legion, in the comics, Legion's character, he has tons and tons of superpowers, but it also makes him crazy. So he has dissociative personality disorder, and basically how it works is each of his different personalities has its own superpower. So he's like a ton of different heroes in one. And the reason he has all this massive unchecked power and is so powerful, literally, is that he is Charles Xavier's son, at least in the comics. It remains to be seen how much the Legion show follows on with what I just said. The little teaser trailer didn't really show too much. It showed some of the main characters and kind of gave the impression and the feel of the show. I think that the fact that it's on FX should mean that it can kind of stretch the envelope, push the envelope, I should say, in a few ways. So that should be pretty cool. But anyway, moving right along to Marvel Netflix. Daredevil is getting a season 3. I'm really behind, unfortunately, on Daredevil. I really want to give it its fair due and get into it. But season 3, they hinted that Bullseye might finally make his appearance. One of the producers said something along the lines of, well, I think it'd be weird to have something Daredevil go for a long time without including Bullseye. So I think, at the very least, his presence will be felt in season 3, and then maybe he'll make his full appearance in season 4. I think that's a pretty safe bet that that we'll at least feel his presence. So speaking of speaking of continuity, we have the Defenders, right? That's what Netflix TV has been building to. We have Daredevil, which is having season 3, Jessica Jones, which had its season last year, or earlier this year. I think it was last year. We have Luke Cage coming out in September. The trailer looks amazing. To me, it's been the best trailer. It's the most like immediately graspable, and I think like in today's like socio-political climate, it's kind of exactly what we need. It's very well timed. So I think they need to tread a little bit carefully how they portray, you know, the different characters and situations. But I think a bulletproof black superhero is going to be really interesting. You know, especially like I said, in today with the way the crazy way the world is. So very excited about Luke Cage, and coming really soon. September's just a month away, so I might do like you know, some more stories talking about different episodes, or just a recap of the whole season, or whatever. But I really like to get caught up on Daredevil and Jessica Jones first, so I don't miss all the tie-ins and callbacks and that sort of thing. The last member of the Defenders is Iron Fist. They had a tiny little teaser for him, but it really didn't show anything. It just confirmed that it was Danny Rand, who was one of the many Iron Fists in the comics. I think it said something like along the lines of like, who is Danny Rand, or something like that. Why is Danny Rand? And that's coming in 2017, and then it's all building towards a Defenders TV show. And to me, the big thing they need to avoid, we're getting right up to the second chunk of the episode, so that's like when the score will be different and everything, it'll be obvious. But anyway, so I might repeat myself a little bit here, but I can't remember if I said this, and it was like my main point. What they need to be careful with the Defenders TV show is it doesn't need to feel like the Avengers B team, or the baby Avengers, or the wannabe Avengers. It needs to be its own. The whole point with the Defenders was that it's going to be like, are you kidding me? Like the second it ran out, I'm gonna throw a thermal imploder at 3 stormtroopers, and then jump on it myself. But anyway, was that it was more street level. Like the Avengers are fighting to save the world, the Defenders are fighting to save New York City. That's fine, but it's very similar in build-up, because instead of the, you know, origin movies, they had the origin TV shows, and now we're all teaming up to have this big brouhaha, falderall nonsense in the Defenders. So they just need to be a little bit careful, but I am really excited for the Defenders TV show, and I hope it pays off, because they did a good job of laying the groundwork so far. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Defenders, and maybe I can do like War Story, even though it's like so far after the facts, I can do War Stories talking about the different shows, or like the different seasons as I get through them. So now we have, we're done with Marvel TV, moving on to Marvel movies. Doctor Strange, November 4th, there's a new trailer. I thought it was even better than the first one. I am incredibly excited. I think it looks awesome. It's everything I was hoping for. I like how they're showing his, like, in the comics, whenever he does, like, magic spells and stuff, they always show the, like, the lettering and stuff. I don't really know how to describe it. That's sort of what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode. Like, you really just need to watch the trailer. But it looks really cool. I'm excited. They said in the panel that Doctor Strange is the beginning of the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, so that's cool, exciting stuff. Black Panther, they had a bunch of the cast out on stage. They announced that Michonne from Walking Dead, Denai Guerrera is her name. I think I probably pronounced that wrong. Sorry, Michonne from Walking Dead. She was added to the cast. Michael B. Jordan, who was the main character of Creed, and he was Human Torch in the terrible Fantastic Four reboot. He is a good actor though, and he will be playing one of the villains, Killmonger. That's one of the biggest Black Panther villains. His main villain is Ulysses Claw, and we already know that that's going to be played by Andy Serkis. That character debuted in Age of Ultron. The Wakandan gun runner that Ultron rips his hand off, he'll replace it with a metal claw, as was his destiny when he had the last name of Claw and he was in a comic book related property. So that's all cool. Good choice. I'm excited about Black Panther 2, but it still is a ways off, not until February 2018. But the date has been moved around a few times, so no guarantees. I don't know, I guess it'll be a week. Two more to cover for Marvel movies. That's the majority of my presentation today. Spider-Man Homecoming, they confirmed that the Vulture will be at least one of the enemies. That's presumably played by Michael Keaton, which I think is really cool, interesting casting. I'm excited to see Vulture on the big screen, and I'm glad that they're not repeating a villain like we've already seen. I mean, counting New Goblins, we've already seen like 4 Green Goblins in live action. So I don't mind. I don't mind getting something new when Spider-Man has a very diverse rogues gallery. Gosh, how am I so hurt? But apparently the field, there was a sizzle reel at the panel that we weren't able to watch, but apparently the feel is that it's a Hollywood, I mean it's a high school movie through and through, like 16 Candles, that sort of thing. The cast indeed refers to themselves as the Breakfast Club, so I think that's really cool. That's one thing that I think has made the Marvel movies so successful, is they're not all just generic superhero action movies. Captain America was a war movie. Winter Soldier was like a spy movie, like a Bourne, and Thor was, you know, a space, like high fantasy. I don't know, they each have had a very different feel, and to have, you know, now like a high school movie, Ant-Man was a comedy. You know what I'm getting at. So I think that's a cool choice, and still very excited. I really loved the new Spider-Man, Tom Holland, in Civil War. So very excited for Spider-Man Homecoming as well. That's coming to us July of 2017. So not too long to wait, less than a year. Barely. So finally, wrapping up for Marvel, we got a little bit of news about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It seems that at least some of the plot will be based around the Guardians versus the Ravagers, which was Michael Rooker's Yondu's group. Michael Rooker is an actor. He played a character called Yondu that had the Whistly Arrow, and he led a group called the Ravagers. Ravagers versus Guardians, I believe, will be part of the plot, or at least that's how it seems right now. That's all cool. Apparently, both Nebula, who is played by Karen Gillan, and Michael Rooker, who I just mentioned, will be joining the Guardians, so that's all cool. And Kurt Russell is joining the movie. He will be playing Ego, the Living Planet, which is exactly what it sounds like, and he is Peter Quill's father. So how they go about doing that, Ego is already weird in the comics, let alone on the big screen. So we'll see where they end up going with that. But Guardians of the Galaxy, we'll find out May of 2017. So not too long to wait. Moving on to Warner Brothers, which of course includes all of DC. Unlike Marvel, which kind of split its holdings, and that's why you haven't seen Wolverine versus Captain America yet. DC, all DC movies are completely owned. I think all of DC period is owned by Warner Brothers, but at least all movie rights are controlled by Warner Brothers. Wonder Woman got a trailer. I thought it looked really, really good. Wonder Woman was a bright spot in Batman vs. Superman. I like seeing the Lasso of Truth and all the nods to the Linda Carter show. Looked really cool. I liked hearing her music at the end. I thought like her same riff from Batman vs. Superman. I have high hopes for Wonder Woman. But then they showed the Justice League teaser, and I thought that it was very strange. What it felt like to me was they had their footage, and then they got repeated. Everybody in the world was telling them that Batman vs. Superman was too dark. Everything's too dark and dreary. They like Marvel being exciting and fun and funny. So they took the same footage and made it look as fun and funny as possible, because they used, you know, they had a big emphasis on Flash, like, oh, I just need friends, and they put, you know, like a comedy sort of song behind it, like they did with, you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy or the Star Trek Beyond trailers, like to just kind of impart that feel that the footage otherwise may not have had. So we'll see. It's the Justice League in a movie. I'm excited. I want to see where they'll go with it, but kind of a weak trailer. Especially when you compare it to Lego Batman. Oh, sorry. Of next year, Justice League is November of next year, and so Lego Batman is February of next year. Lego Batman looks hilarious and amazing, and exactly what I want it to be. And it has heart and humor, and it's everything that the Justice League is lacking. And I am incredibly excited for it. Well done. Will Arnett is perfect as Batman. I think Michael Cera is an inspired choice for Robin. Zach Galifianakis is the Joker. It's going to be a really good movie, and it's a really good trailer. Definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's really funny. Continuing on, Kong Skull Island. Okay, so last year, or 2 years ago now, there was a new Godzilla movie that I thought was really good, but a lot of people sort of disagreed. That's fine. that Godzilla movie, the producers are now making Kong Skull Island with the intent of having a shared universe so that we can build to a Kong versus Godzilla movie. Now that's cool, and in this reboot they're making King Kong a lot bigger so that he's not ridiculous next to Godzilla, because King Kong is small enough to climb up the Empire State Building traditionally. You know, he's not like the size of a building. He's like maybe 15 or like 20, 30 feet tall, like huge, but not ridiculous. Whereas Godzilla like can step on a skyscraper. So this Kong, as we see in the Kong Skull Island trailer, is far bigger than any other cinematic King Kong before. But I think it's a shame to reboot King Kong just so it'll match, because I feel that the Peter Jackson King Kong is really, really, really underappreciated. I really like it, and it's a shame. But the trailer had a lot of visual flair and cool moments. I liked seeing Kong's giant bloody handprint on the side of the mountain that like covers the entire mountain. And it's a really strong cast. We have Tom Hiddleston and Samuel L. Jackson and John Goodman are all in it. It looks cool. I'm excited. But I don't know. I think it feels a lot like a reboot for a reboot's sake, just because they want to build this shared continuity, and I think that's kind of a shame with a property as long-lived and endearing as King Kong. When they have a lot of great stuff to work with already, like why I don't believe that that's the way they had to go with it. So, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Oh, sorry. Kong Skull Island, March of next year. Fantastic Beasts, I thought the first trailer was weak, and I was honestly not that excited about it. Even though it's Harry Potter, I love Harry Potter. I'm planning on doing a Harry Potter special this weekend, and I'll definitely do a review of Cursed Child once I have it in my hands and I've read it. But Kong, I'm sorry. The first trailer just was weak. It definitely seemed like all it was doing, it was cashing in on the Harry Potter brand name. It was just, we're just gonna make another movie, and this is the best we have. But this new trailer I thought was a huge step forward. It looked way, way better. And now I'm genuinely excited for the movie again. I would say I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange more. I'm definitely looking forward to Rogue One more. So it has a long way to go to be one of my tops for this year or this winter. But it looks a lot better. Kudos to WB for pulling out a much better trailer. It's quite turned it around. So we'll see if they are able to continue that momentum. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate. I really don't want to lose. I'm gonna, though. I kind of need to die so I can get some explosives. Okay, moving on. This is actually the last thing we're gonna cover. Legends of the Hidden Temple was one of my favorite shows as a kid. It's a game show in which different teams of kids would answer historical trivia questions and complete physical challenges. The winners get to explore this creepy temple to try to find the treasure of the day. It was a really, really cool show with a unique concept. It was edutainment in a good way. And instead of bringing back the show that I loved, they're making a made-for-TV movie. And I thought the trailer did not look good at all. I thought it was really disappointing. I was happy that they at least got the original host, Kirk Fogg. That was cool. But it just looked really dumbed down and disappointing. So I didn't mean to end on a down note, but that's my coverage of San Diego Comic-Con, at least as far as, big blockbuster movie announcements went. I know there was tons more. There was, all sorts of toy announcements and shows and comics and all that sort of thing. But this is just kind of hitting the highlights, at least of stuff I'm likely to cover later on in my channel. Most of these movies I'm sure I'll review when they come out. And like I said, I want to kind of dip into the Marvel TV shows and start to cover them as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like down below and subscribe. You have war stories like this every Tuesday and Thursday, but there's something every single day here on the channel. So that'll about do it for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'm full.